Three signs you are ready to go bigger without burnout. So you've built the thing, you've done the work, and there's this whisper. There's this whisper that won't leave you alone, and you can pretend that it's not there. You can try to ignore it, but you know that you're ready for more. You know that something is just not quite right. It hasn't landed in the way that you really want it to. But you're also at the point where it cannot be at the cost of your soul. You know that part and you're clear on that part, right? This video is for the woman who knows it's time that it's to go bigger. But we want to do it from a place of overflow and not burnout. So here are the three signs that you're ready to go bigger. The first one is you've built something, but not all of you is in it. And maybe it's something that you can't articulate or even find or grasp, but you have this internal knowing that there's more here. There's more here, right? And you know that it's not coming from a place of self-doubt or self-sabotage, although maybe that's been the case in the past, but this really is a hungering that something isn't quite right. Yeah. So you're proud of what you've done. You know you're amazing, right? You're incredible at what you do. And the chances are is that you've worked really hard to move out of that survival, right? But it's not fully you. Something is misaligned, it's muted, or it's missing. And you know that to be true. You're craving that integration of soul and strategy, truth and visibility, fire and softness, right? That's what you're really craving here. We're craving the softness and the spaciousness, but we're not doing it if it means forgetting who we are and ignoring that fire of aliveness within us. It's not about changing everything, right? So often we get to this point and where we just burn it all to the ground and we start again, right? Because often these women, me included, can be the serial startovers, the serial creators, right? And so we're very quick to burn things to the ground, and it leaves us this constant pattern of never quite getting to where you want to go because we're constantly recreating, right? We're burning it again, burning it to the ground, and starting it again because that aliveness feels good, right? It feels good for us, but it doesn't always serve us and it stops us from getting to where we really want to go. So it's a really important thing that we need to be aware of ourselves about, right? So it's not about changing everything. It's about turning you all the way up. And that is the biggest difference here, right? So it's not a piece that you're missing, it's cranking up that dial, right? What I always say inside my containers, we're cranking up the dial to our yum, right? So you know that feeling when everyone thinks that you've made it, but your body's like, this isn't it. This isn't it. I've been a transformational mentor working with soul led, high capacity women for over 15 years. And here's what I know is that often to the outside world, our lives look amazing. Right. And it's, yeah, like they got the following, they got the likes, they got the comments, they got the community, they got the people, and business may even be doing really well. But there's this little piece that's inside of us that just goes, there's something more. There's a piece that I'm not quite understanding, or this sense of I'm missing something. It's something that I have felt constantly throughout my time in business. And even before that, if, I think that when I really look back beyond that, but often that feeling of I should be happy and the world sees us in a particular light, in a particular way. And that can really begin to make us feel like we're a fraud, that imposter syndrome. But really what it is it's not us feeling like an imposter. It's just this little kernel inside of us that's saying we haven't dialed us, me, myself, our turn on, our yum, we haven't dialed it all the way up, right? So we haven't dialed into the yum. So it's nothing that you're missing. It's the connection to self. It's the connection to the yum. It's this aliveness that we're bringing into it, right? And so from here, everything gets to change. So if this is something that you've been experiencing, this is the first sign that you're ready to go bigger. Because often this is a pattern that we continually repeat. Now, the second sign is you're done with the hustle. You're done with the hustle, but you haven't mastered overflow. That part is still a little bit foreign. It's a little bit foreign to us, right? So you've left behind all the proving, right? I'm done trying to prove myself, right? I'm done with the grind. I'm not grinding, and I'm definitely not overgiving. I'm not overgiving, right? I was saying to someone just this morning is when we overgive, it automatically means that we're under receiving, right? Even if we're overthinking, it means that we're under doing, right? So all of these things that we're overgiving, we're overthinking, it's creating then a lack or an under in the opposite, right? It's universal law. That's what has to happen, right? And so we really need to be mindful of that. So you've left behind the proving, the grinding, and the overgiving. You know that is done, right? That part's done, but the rest still feels a little bit edgy. Receiving is still something that you're learning, right? And as much as that feels a little bit crazy to say, that how can receiving be a learned behavior when you've been let's conditioned, trained, brought up, whatever it is, if you're the type of person to overgive, then you better believe that learning to receive is a thing, and it's a very vital ingredient into us living this fully turned up, turned on, tuned in life, right? So you want the business, you want the body, you want the life that feels fully well resourced, right? You are a resourceful woman. You know this to be true. You want the expansion without the depletion, right? You know that burnout isn't really the problem. It's the compass. That pattern of exhaustion that you've been feeling, it's not the problem. It's the compass. And it gives us this beautiful opportunity to recognize that burnout wasn't a breakdown, right? It was a border, it was a message. The old way isn't working anymore. That's all it's saying. The old way isn't working anymore. We can do this intuitively, somatically. We're saying there's a better way to do this. There's a better way to do this, right? So the third sign is that you don't want to be saved. You don't want to be saved. You want to be met. You want to be met. And this is such a huge pivotal moment, right? It is because so often we go so long waiting for the thing that's going to save us, waiting for the coach, the mentor, the book, the course. If I just learn this, if I just start making this amount of money, then everything is going to be okay. And this thing, this person is going to be the one to save me. They're going to be the person that makes this all happen for me. So when you reach a point where you don't want to be saved, but you hunger and crave and need to be met, you are operating on a very different operating system, right? It's a very new ecosystem, and it's a really cool one because you're self-led, you're sovereign, you're no longer confused, you're discerning. You know what you want and you know what you don't want. You don't need a guru, right? You need to be met at your level. So you can still might want and need to invest in whatever it is that you want to, that you need in that moment, right? For whatever up level or growth or evolution, whatever you want to call it, and whatever you feel to that next exploration is for you. But you're doing it with someone who can meet you at your level, right? You don't want to be saved, you want to be met. You're not stuck, you're under expressed, right? You want to work with someone who sees your entire system, not just your funnel, not just your mindset, not just your sales strategy, not your marketing, not just somatically, not just spiritually, right? Who sees your whole system, your body, your business, your soul, your eros, your everything, everything. We bring everything to the table here, right? You want your fire, you want precision, and integrity is really important to you. And most importantly, there's no beige. There's no beige. So you're not looking for permission. You're looking for a mirror, because you know that only you can grant yourself the permission, right? What you're looking for is a mirror, and that changes everything, right? That changes absolutely everything. So how do we begin to step into and take this bold, beautiful action to move forward, right? The first thing that I'm going to recommend and invite you to do is recognize where you are. Recognize where you are, recognize where you're going, right? Go into how that feels. What's the energy? What's the foundation? What are the energetics under there, right? Of where you are right now. What are the energetics? How's that feeling? And then how does it feel in this overflow? What's the energetics of that? Recognize the energetics of what's really going on, right? Because you'll be able to see practically, okay, this is where I am, this is where I'm going, but what's the energetics underneath it, right? And there's a whole bunch of things that, that you can do. You can look at the shadow as well, and you can begin to unpack it from that perspective. However, what I will say is if you're kind of like nodding along and, is that this is, see this as your little bat signal, right? Because this is the moment where you can stop circling around your brilliance and start living from it, right? To turn up that dial to the yum. And that really is what overflow is about. That really is what the currency and the frequency, the energetics of the overflow is we're cranking up that dial to the yum, right? So if you're really ready to start living from this, then I urge you to check out Wildfire Rising, because this is the space where your power, your pleasure, your leadership, how you love, live, lead, we come home to the body, right? There's no fixing, there's no fluff. There's just deep sovereign embodiment for the woman who's already powerful. And you're done playing small and you're really craving, knowing that it's time to step into this overflow. What does this overflow era look like for you? I'm going to pop the link to Wildfire Rising below. I'm also going to pop the link to the free Overflow Era Blueprint that you can access as well. Both are absolutely fire, and I hope to see you there. Bye, everybody.